Good morning. Good morning. Yes, it is still morning. How are you today? I say welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Trina Edwards, and I am the Restoration Coach, where I am here helping single moms to restore hope and to overcome adversity through culinary experiences. Today, we are going to be making a sugar-free pound cake. Sugar-free pound cake, okay? So I would like to know, just for by a show of hands, if you would be so kind and let me know what city and state you are tuning in from. That would be greatly appreciated. I love to know where my viewers are coming in from. If you can hear me and see me okay, please put a one in a comment section. And we're going to get started in just a second, okay? So, before we get started, let me preheat the oven. Let me preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Now, I have preheated my oven, turned the oven on to 350 degrees. But for this type of baking, I like to make sure that the oven is at the correct temperature. So, with that being said, I'm going to, or you're going to want to purchase a little timer. Now, this one is been doing its job, okay? So don't pay attention to this. Long as you can see the numbers, long as you can see the numbers inside the timer, this will be great. So I'm gonna put this back in the oven. So when it does get up to 350 degrees, I will be able to double check and make sure that the oven temperature on this dial is actually saying what it's supposed to say and reading what it's supposed to say in the oven. And as you come in, make sure you let me know where you are viewing from, okay? I love to know where you're viewing from. If you give me a minute, sometimes Facebook doesn't allow me to see your comments. So if you haven't given StreamYard opportunity, please go right ahead and give them opportunity to have access to your information. But if you don't feel comfortable doing that, I'm going to try to turn this other, let's see, this other device on so that I can see who is in the room, okay? So anyway, we're going to get started. First of all, before we get started, I want you to know I'm moving around a lot, trying to make sure all these platforms. One of the reasons, this is a major reason, a lot of people are reluctant. They're very reluctant to do sugar free desserts, and I'm going to tell you why. Why they are. I found out why, okay? A lot of people, when I go to different events, go to different booths, set up different booths, they'll come up and ask me, do you have any sugar free desserts? And of course, I say no. But I want to explain, I see why a lot of people do not do sugar free desserts, okay? First of all, this recipe, I'm gonna turn this device over here so you can see the ingredients, okay? And hopefully, there we go. There we go. This recipe is gonna call for some almond flour, okay? Almond flour. Now, this almond flour alone, let me read, it's what? 2 pounds, 32 ounces. This alone cost me $10, okay? $10 for this flour, all right? That amount, all right? Now, this sugar, this is monk fruit sugar, okay? 0 calories. But at the same time, this cost me $10, okay? So that's $20 right off the bat versus making the regular kind when you can get 25 pounds of flour for like $15 to $20, okay? $15 to $20. So that alone can kind of discourage you from making your sugar-free desserts because that means you have to bump up the price. You have to bump up the price, all right? So we got the almond flour. We have the monk fruit blend. Let's finish and let me show you what else is in the recipe here, okay? We're going to need some sour cream. some baking powder. I have 4 eggs here. We're gonna need some sour cream, 2 ounces of sour cream, and a stick of butter, some vanilla extract. So because the recipe requires me to warm up, it caused me to put a half a cup of salted butter and then 2 ounces of cream cheese. So what I'm supposed to be doing now, I'm going to turn this on low and we're going to melt that. We're going to melt that, okay? And in the meantime, we're going to start assembling. I'm going to start assembling the recipe together, okay? So first of all, I'm going to need, and I have my whisk handy here. I'm going to need 2 cups of the almond flour, okay? And you see that? And I'm going to keep an eye on my butter here so it doesn't burn. So the first step is 2 cups. 1. 2 cups of almond flour, all right? Now, the second thing it requires is a cup, 1 cup of the 0-calorie sugar, which this one is monk fruit blend, okay? So now I'm gonna wait, first of all. I'm gonna read my recipe, make sure I don't mess it up, okay? We're gonna combine the dry ingredients into the large bowl, okay? That's what I need to do first. Make sure I'm assembling this correctly. We're gonna use our whisk, okay? Our whisk is gonna help us to sift, okay? This is the fastest way to sift your flour or whatever else you decide you need to sift for your recipe, rather than using those sifters that we used to use back in the day. We can definitely use this instead, okay? Okay. So what I want to do is add the flour. I have 2 teaspoons of baking powder right here. And the recipe tells us to just combine it. So if you see what I'm doing here is that I'm combining it. I like to sift my flour because I like the texture of my cake to come out nice, moist, and bouncy, okay? So that's one of my strategies. I like to sift right there, okay? In the meantime, it tells me that I need to continue to melt. I'm going to use my rubber spatula, and we're using a non-stick skillet for easy cleanup. So now that I can focus on this, I'm going to turn it up a little bit, and we're going to melt this butter on low heat in the pan. And while that's still melting, I am going to moisten my pan. You're going to need a bundt pan, whichever kind you prefer. I'm going to keep an eye on this butter. And we're going to use our baker scoop. It's called baker scoop. We made this about a few weeks ago. This is to help so your baked goods doesn't stick to the pan. Easy cleanup. They come out real well. You have a nice little brush, kitchen brush you want to use. And I'm just going to put this in the pan as such, okay? You're going to go up the sides because we don't want this to stick when it's all finished, okay? I'm going to get some more baker scoop. Rather than using spray and flour, this is the fastest, more effective way to make sure your baked goods come out the pan nice and quick, okay? So keep in mind, I'm paying attention to the butter and the cream cheese. You want to go all up the sides, all on the inside, making sure everything is covered. Okay? I want to make sure that I'll have no spots left untouched, because when it's all said and done, I want this cake to just slide out this pan. Okay? If you can see that very well. There we go. I think that's good. And now I need to pay attention to this butter. I'm gonna put that back in there. We're gonna continue to stir this butter. Stir it, because of when this gets softened, I'm gonna combine it with the dry ingredients. Okay. So all you're doing is melting this butter, melting this cream cheese, combining them together, taking your time not to burn the butter. You don't want to rush it. Okay. And now that I'm finished with the baker's scoop, I can move this to the side. Put my pan right here. I'm still waiting on this to melt. I don't want it to burn. So I think what I'm going to do is check. I'm going to check that that gauge in the oven to make sure that my temperature is actually at 350. And if it's not, then I can turn my oven down or turn it up, whichever way it reads, to make sure that I got the best temperature, the accurate temperature in the oven, because when you make a pound cake, that's a lot of ingredients and it's costly. And in this situation, it's more costly than the average pound cake. So you want to make sure it turns out right, okay? All right. Let's see. I'm gonna let that continue. It's almost there. It's almost there. When this is done, I'm gonna add the sugar to the butter, and then I'm gonna add my vanilla. Okay. So I'm gonna continue to let that break down. Stir it a little bit, and it's almost ready. If you can see, it's almost ready. Hold on 1 second. It's almost ready. It is almost ready. I'm gonna let it cook a little longer and see how this goes. All right, let's check our timer. Not timer, I don't know why I keep calling it timer. Our thermometer. And as you see, this thermometer says 375. So this lets me know that this oven is not reading right. So what I'm going to do, I'm glad I decided I'm going to turn the oven down to 325, trying to get the right temperature. So remember this, okay? Buy you a temperature, put it in your oven, test your oven to make sure that your oven is really reading the right temperature. And as you just found out, I put this in the oven. I turned the dial to 350, but I left it in here. I pulled it out, and it says 375. So that would cook my cake too fast and give me the wrong results. So that's a tip for you right there. So I think this cream cheese and butter is doing a great job now, and it is almost where it should be. If you have a rubber spatula and a nonstick skillet, you should also have a rubber whisk in case you decide to stir some things together, which I have right here. So I'm going to use my rubber whisk, okay? So I don't scratch up my skillet. You don't want to do that. So you got to know what to use. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add my sugar. That's a cup of sugar. Now, this is 0 calorie sugar, okay? 1 cup of sugar. Okay, and look at that. It's almost gone. $10 for probably 2 cups of sugar. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So it says put this in here. Put this in the butter. I'm going to turn the fire off now. And we're going to whisk it together without making a mess. And I also need to put in a teaspoon of vanilla. So let me stop and do that. This is one of the reasons why a lot of people don't do sugar-free desserts, because they are very costly. Okay. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I'm finished stirring this together. Stir it together. I got the fire off. Before we put the cake in the oven again, I'm going to check the oven temperature by my device that I've stuck in there. So we're stirring this together. And it's coming together slowly. Okay. So it wants us to turn the fire off, add the sugar, add the vanilla. Now we have to add some sour cream. A cup of sour cream. Okay. Now for your purposes, I can definitely, you may want to measure it, which is fine. If not, you can just use half of this. Half of this will be a cup, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to measure it out. And that's about right. I would add a little more. Now we got a cup of sour cream. We're going to add it to the butter here. The butter and sugar, should I say. Set that right there. Gonna combine this without making a mess. Stir it with your rubber whisk. And then we're gonna combine it with the dry ingredients. Add our eggs. And stick it in the oven, okay? Sticking in the oven, you know. I'll tell you, one of the reasons, tell you a strange story on my quest to perfecting the pound cake, okay? When I was younger, I used to visit a lady who used to make pound cakes, and they was very delicious. And then at church, we had this gentleman who used to make pound cakes. Yes, I said gentleman. And his was very delicious. And so in the midst of that, you know, nobody wanted to share their recipe. They didn't want to share their recipe. So that's how I got started with making pound cakes. One person told me to add 1 more egg. You know, they give you small tips, but they wouldn't give you the whole instructions. So this was my quest to master making pound cakes, okay? And that's what I did, okay? So now I want to master making a sugar-free pound cake, okay? So we got the dry ingredients here. We have our wet ingredients here. We're going to combine them together, and then we're going to add our eggs one at a time. This recipe is not the original way I would create my pound cake, but when you begin to do recipes, you know, you can make a recipe your own. Let me plug this in real quick. You can make a recipe your own by just tweaking a few things. So let me start putting this in here. It's going to be a little noisy, but maybe I should turn it on first. Turn this on first. And I'm going to add this to it. Turn this off so that I can, oh, it's coming on out by itself. So we're going to scrape the sides of that. That's done. Mix this together. Uh-oh, I don't want that going down. I'll put it right there. Mix this together. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. You don't want to overmix. But the strange thing about this recipe, it says to add the eggs last. It says add eggs. Normally what I would do is to add them one at a time to make sure they are fully incorporated. So that's what I'm gonna do. I crack them separately and make sure you don't have any bad ones. So let's do this really quickly. Now we're gonna check our oven again. We want to check our oven again to make sure we have the right temperature. Then I'm gonna crack the last two. You're gonna need 4 eggs. And oh shucks, that's kind of loud, isn't it? Okay, so mix those together. Wipe my hands off here, and let's do this. 1, 4. Okay, that's it. It's all incorporated together. What are we gonna do now? I'm gonna check the thermometer in here. See what it tells me this time. Now it says 350. I think I wanna just turn it down just a little. It says 350, 360. So just to be on the safe side, I'm gonna turn it down some more. And I'm gonna put this in my pan. I think we're good as far as our bakers go. Looks pretty good. Can't be too careful. I'll put some more in there, make sure it comes out nice and smooth. Okay. And we're just gonna combine it. Just pour it in the pan. And we're gonna bake it. Bake it for 50 minutes. You see that? Just pouring it in the pan. And that's it. That is it for today. So you're gonna get all the spots off of the top. Make sure it's even. And put it in the oven for 50 minutes. 50 minutes. And then we should have end results, okay? So that is it. That is our journey towards the sugar-free pound cake. We used almond flour this time. We used almond flour this time, $10. We used, look at this. This is almost gone. It's already gone. The monk fruit flour, $10. That is probably one of the major reasons why people don't make sugar-free desserts because they're very costly. And then you have to turn around and get someone that's willing to pay for them at that price, okay? So I'll see you back in 50 minutes to see the outcome, all right? Thank you so much for watching. Remember, my name is Trina Edwards, and I am a restoration coach. I am helping single moms to restore hope and to overcome adversity with through culinary experiences, okay? This is one of the ways that you are able to overcome things is getting in your kitchen, okay? So I look forward to speaking with you soon. And if you're interested in finding out how you can work with me, you can go over to bit.ly/Trina. Let us talk and schedule a call. And I would be glad to speak with you, okay? Looking forward to seeing with you soon. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.